I accidentally, again, clicked on stop. I meant to click on pause with the previous video, but you need this. You need this right here. We are going to add to page 1. Remember, I told you to leave the space blank. Remember, I told you to format your notes that way that I'm formatting. So now we're going to need this space. So as you'll see in our notes here, we have label each premise with the P and each conclusion with the conclusion. So now we need to do lots of exclamation marks. Okay? So write complex arguments. Okay? Labeling premises is the same. Okay? Okay? But now you will label subconclusions with SC, and you will label final conclusions with FC. Okay, so then we need to go to the pattern right here, right? Here we just want to add complex arguments. So note about complex arguments, and then we'll do exclamation mark. Be sure to use new SC and FC as if an argument is a complex one. Remember, in your own mind, you might think a complex one is difficult, right, and hard to read, hard to understand, but that's not how we're using complex. Again, remember, this class is largely about definitions, learning the definitions and applying them clearly, accurately, and precisely. So complex just means an argument that basically proceeds in steps, argues for one conclusion en route to arguing for another conclusion, or it has a conclusion, but then backup is given where some premise are given for a sub-conclusion prior to that. I think in week 2 I might have talked about main conclusions and minor conclusions. You can think about that as well. I still want you to use SC and FC, but FC, you could think of that as the main conclusion, and you can think of this as a minor conclusion. Okay, so we've got that. I'm trying to see what else we might have. Everything else still applies. It's just that, you have to be using the correct labels. Diagram. Okay, so again, complex arguments. So right here, I'm at the diagram part of our notes, right? So you always still start with premises, and you still end with the conclusion. So an added note is that the sub-conclusion in an argument diagram will never be at the very end, nor at the beginning. Wait a minute, premise 1 and the sub-conclusion. So premise 1, nor at the top. Okay, so it'll be in between, layers of a diagram. The final conclusion will always be last, or at the bottom, is what I should really be saying, of a diagram. Okay, we might need to add to that just a little bit, but I feel like we have gotten most of what we need. In fact, that's probably 99.9% of your mandatory note-taking just right there.